Guten Tag, my name is DMAD, and welcome to the first episode of Backtrack that I ever recorded. So yeah, I recorded all this back in the summer of 2020. However, afterwards, I had a trip to Colorado, then went to college, and since then, things have been pretty busy. However, now that I'm posting more on the channel, and have the Backtrack series up and running, I thought I would revisit the old footage as something like a time capsule, to compare what zoos were like back when I recorded them to what they are now. I have footage for about every site on the Backwatch, but once I use up the old footage, I don't know if I'll revisit this concept. If you end up liking this, I'll try to make it work for the future. And yes, I am going to be posting quote-unquote new or recent Backtrack videos alongside the old ones whenever I film them. But without further ado, let us get into what was the Kansas City Zoo like back in the summer of 2020. So when you enter the zoo, the very first habitat you'll see is the trumpeter swans. The Kansas City Zoo has a long and successful history of breeding them, and babies aren't anything new. One thing that has changed is that I don't believe this wheel is here anymore. Back in the day, this habitat had other species of waterfowl, such as pintails, teals, and wood ducks, but now it's just the swans, and dozens of wild mallard ducks. Fun fact, on a separate visit I actually saw one of the trumpeter swans try and drown a mallard duck. Anyways, moving on, we go to Polar Bear Passage, and that sign has definitely changed. I didn't see the zoo's then only polar bear, Berlin, who was more than likely in her refrigerated bedroom. Also, this was before they got Nunique, so we'll check back later. Now, it's off to the tiger trail. Oh, gotta rub the Buddha belly for good luck. This area of the zoo hasn't really changed in terms of animals, but regarding signs and decor, it and especially Australia have seen heavy renovations. Also, if you look closely by the tiger habitat, you'll catch a glimpse of the rare zoo fire hydrant, only bred in a few facilities around the world. So it was at this point that I had to make a crucial decision. Do I go through the aviary and see the birds, or do I skip and go around? Aviary, skip, aviary, skip, aviary, skip. Oh, what a difficult decision. I don't know what I'm going to do. So anyways, remember, as you enter an aviary, it's important to close one door before opening the other. Back when I first filmed this episode, this enclosure was nearly brand new, and I wanted to do some coverage on it. So, here you go! Welcome to the new and improved Matchkey's Tree Kangaroos. This space is an upgrade to what was originally the tree kangaroo habitat, though I believe it was a bird cage because you could walk through it. Now, this modern looking and more organized enclosure gives you visual access to the marsupial's outdoor and indoor enclosure. The only real complaint I have is that the viewing screen for the indoor portion does contain a massive glare, which makes it hard for viewing and filming. Also, personally, I preferred the walkthrough experience you got with the old enclosure, but regardless of my opinion, this is definitely an improvement on the animal's habitat. The rest of Australia, I didn't cover that much, plus you've already seen it in my first Backtrack video. As far as things that have changed, the main point has been the signs around this area. So with that, it's off to Africa we go. Now, Africa is the largest section of the Kansas City Zoo, and thus is not only home to a menagerie of exotic creatures from Africa and Madagascar, but is also a home for native Missouri birds, reptiles, and small mammals. It also adds a little touch of African culture, though more recently I haven't seen much signage. Maybe I don't pay as much attention to that field, but in the past the Kansas City Zoo did have signs about the Masai Mara near their old elephant overlook, and a traditional African hut that people could walk into, but that has since been taken down and replaced with gardens. However, the animals of this section haven't changed much and have actually grown since the filming of this video. Now we move on to the African aviary. This section contains more smaller birds than the Australian aviary, such as weavers and starlings, but it also has ewits, a Hadeda ibis, and a hornbill. All in all, this area hasn't really changed much either, but it is still a fun little detour when visiting. After one final look at their massive hoofstock pen, and some native turtles, and going on a boardwalk, you'll make it to the Kapi, large rocky outcrops in the savannah. There, you'll see rock hyraxes, spider tortoises, this house cat that the zoo kidnapped. Just kidding, it's actually a species of wild feline called a sand cat, who was surprisingly active on this hot day. There are other animals here, but you gotta look for them, because on hot summer days, they're usually hiding or sleeping. During another boardwalk, you'll come to their black rhino habitat, as well as their Maasai giraffe and zebra enclosure. These guys are usually taken off exhibit for the cold winter months, but are brought back when it gets warmer. Then, on this visit, I got to see their eastern crown crane chicks. The zoo has a successful breeding program with these guys, and if you ever see the zoo's bird or animal ambassador shows, you can witness one of them on stage. Next up are these leopard tauruses, and about a year prior to filming this, for my Eagle Scout project, I actually made that hide right up there for the tortoises. So I'm pretty proud of it and show it off when I can. After that you'll pass the hippos, and then it's more of a nature walk, as there aren't many animals in this part of Africa. One thing that did make my day was seeing this. Once you finish with all the exotic animals, as you walk over the bridge, during summer months, you'll see this. All these reindeer sliders gather here because people throw food off the bridge, which you shouldn't do as they are wild animals. Now, I'm pretty sure they're just gathering to wage war on the wild geese. And that's it for Africa. I'm definitely going to cover this area and other parts of the zoo more later on. But as we walk over the bridge, this next part was going to be the main coverage of the video, as it had just been finished. But better late than never, I guess. So, here's my coverage of the new and improved elephant habitat. Welcome to Elephant Expedition. This $10 million home makeover for the zoo's 7 African elephants took only 8 months to complete. Rather than the old forested path that led from the elephant habitat to Africa, this space was renovated and now gives off a more modern, open display. It also comes with expanded private restrooms and one of two, that I know of, mother's rooms. Other features of this viewing area include an informational monitor on a shed for food vending, picnic and event seating, a surround sound for music and announcements, and another one of those rare zoo fire hydrants. The viewing area is also directly beside the elephant pool, now ground level, rather than the dip they had back in the day. And if you're lucky, you may get to see the elephant going for a swim, something that is on my personal bucket list. Also, along the entire elephant trail, you'll find informational signs about elephants, their conservation, and what zoos and you can do to help them. Now, moving on to the exhibit itself. As mentioned, the northwestern end of the habitat contains a pool that is so deep you'd only be able to see the elephant's head. This massive water feature is fueled by 2 waterfalls and is said to save up to 100,000 gallons of water every few days through its filtration system. Another guest feature that was added to this area was the addition of a tram station. This third stop allows guests to get off halfway between the World Gate and Africa stations. Other guest amenities include water fountains and play items, which were not open at the time of recording. The elephant habitat itself was given more shaded areas for hot summers, more sand, and increased walking area. If you want to see the entirety of the enclosure, you can follow the path under partially shaded trees and a park-like landscape. And of course, this coverage wouldn't be complete without the viewing of the residents themselves. The Kansas City Zoo is home to 7 elephants: Lady, Leia, Lois, Tattoo, Megan, Zoe, and their younger male, Tamani, who you may or may not know from this story. The elephants are usually separated into smaller groups, which are rotated daily from the main habitat to the barn area, via these metal gates. Furthermore, the zoo connected the elephant overlook area to the rest of the walkway, allowing visitors to walk the whole length of the habitat. Speaking of which, if you look closely, you can see the old elephant overlook beside the new one. Once again, this area was given a lovely modern look to it that allows a more bird's eye view of the pachyderms and shaded seating for guests. And that does it for the Kansas City Zoo's new and improved Elephant Expedition. I hope you enjoyed the coverage, and I'll make sure to cover further additions to zoos on time in the future. Anyways, we now move on to the epilogue of this adventure. After the elephant expedition, you see animals such as the Chilean flamingo habitat. However, this section of the zoo you won't be seeing anytime soon. This line of cages was known as Beaks and Feet Boulevard, and was home to Eurasian eagle owls, rhino iguana, peacock, bobcat, and more. But if you've seen my first backtrack video, you may have noticed that these cages, and most all of the trees behind them, have been cleared out in order to make room for the construction of the aquarium. Personally, I hope this area does make a return, as I believe the zoo held on to a lot of the animals, but I hope they make some renovations to the enclosure designs. After that, I saw our old friends, the California sea lions, stopped by the llamas and swamp monkey habitats, and made my way to get some cookies and cream Dippin' Dots. Bad news, they were out of cookies and cream Dippin' Dots, but they did have chocolate. So, as we near the end of this adventure, making our way towards the exit, I want to thank you all for watching this far. If I could go back in time and edit this video and others so that they were out on time, I would. But I had fun comparing the Kansas City Zoo to what it is now. And I hope to not only cover it more on time in the future, but also to get the rest of my backtrack videos out as soon as possible. Oh, and it looks like Berlin made a cameo appearance at the last minute. But with that, I think we're done here. Again, I appreciate you all watching, and if you did enjoy the content, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, as well as following us on our other platforms, so you can get notified about further zoo content. Also, share this video out to anyone who likes the Kansas City Zoo, animals, or zoos in general. I thank you all for watching, and remember, always be prepared, do good daily, and love nature, for your life is a canvas, and you have the brush. Auf Wiedersehen!